piece of junk.
Hi and welcome to Trash Compactor. So first things first, when it comes to a 3D resin printed figure, you've got to be very careful with how you treat them, because resin is a brittle product, and if you twisted that in the wrong way you could snap off a thumb or something. So you've got to be very careful with the way you actually gently remove items. As resin touches each other, it does powder. So as you can see, this is a black resin and this is grey resin, but together when they rub, because they are such hard substances, they do leave marks on each other. So that's why it's important to paint resin, because you could leave it like that, but the problem is each time movement goes in, it creates little white marks on it. It's just the way resin reacts. With my resin figures, the ones that I've got from Desert Octopus and the ones that I've designed myself, what I try to do is to make the joints fit, but not make them tight. When I first started, I would try and do them as tight as possible, but I realised that it makes it open to breaking them when you're trying to sort of build them and dismantle them. So, and I try and use solid joints as well. So the way if you get a figure, if it's apart, then what you do is you make sure you're holding both pieces perfectly parallel and you're very, very gentle, and what you do is you gently twist the joint in while pushing, and it will go in without breaking. If, for example, you twist it or you force it, you will snap it off. Many people have done that and then they've messaged me and gone, oh, I snapped the joints while I was doing it. It's unfortunate. In some cases I've gone, look, I will send you another thing because you've in another order, but if you do snap it off, it's like I can't permanently do a lifetime subscription to free arms and limbs because you snap them. It's some of the time posting some of these things out individually costs more than the actual item. So if you've placed another order and you want me to add something in, I don't mind doing that. It's just please don't go, oh, I need a new arm, send me one, and I've got to fork out 20 quid postage to try and be nice. I'm nice, but I'm not that nice anymore. So when you've got to figure it, if it's assembled, you turn it very, very, very slowly and then pull the joint out. If you feel any resistance, don't think, oh, I'll just pull it harder, just slow down. So again, this is one's a little bit tight there, so I'm going to gently twist, it comes out. Legs a tricky one. This is what people snap all the time. They just force it out without. You've got to be very gentle and turn it in its housing while you're pulling it out, and then that will come apart. Okay, so I'll show you an example of how you don't remove a joint. So here we go. Look, I've got this. When I was designing the armour figure, strangely enough, I made her chest plate really big, and she ended up with massive boobs. It's funny what's in your memory and what reality is totally different. So she has now been rectified and is much flat chested, but I've got these. So look, so this joint is quite stiff, so if I pull it, it comes out. But if at any point I go, oh I can't get it out, I twist it, it snaps. That is how you don't treat resin. Because once that's out, you've then got to drill a hole into that, you've got to then get that out, that welds It's just not a healthy way, and you know, your chances of gluing that back together and making it into a valid joint are slim. So what some people tend to do is go, all right, well, if that's done, I'll just glue the joint, and you end up with a figure with no points of movement. I've got some that I've given up on and went, oh no, it's just easier. They're just going to stand there. I'm not going to be playing with them, because resin is not a toy. Did have somebody message me and go, oh, thanks for your figure. I gave it to my child and they were playing with it and it fell out their spaceship and smashed. Can I have another one, please? Do not give resin to your children. It is not a toy. It is. You wouldn't give them bone china figures to play with. Well, that's basically what you're giving them. So, not a toy. It is a display piece. It's not as indestructible as you know. There's no super flex. Flexi resin doesn't have a permanent bend in it. Another example. Okay, so perfect example. I've got some flexi helmets. Now they're called flexi helmets because they're done in a resin with a translucent resin with slight colouring in them, which is tricky because the colouring then causes a problem in the resin. Then I've mixed resins and experimented with different types to get a certain flex. So what this flex means is that it has a slight movement to it. So the idea of that is that it'll go on. Let's find, here we are, it's Mr. Tarkin, hello. It will go on without causing really any rub to your figures or to the product itself, because as I said about resin touching each other, it makes white lines. Flexi resin done correctly won't. Now the trouble is, it isn't indestructible. So when it say, oh, it's flexi resin, here's a flexi resin helmet. Oh yeah, oh right, it's like a gummy bear. I can bend it and twist it, and oh yeah, it does disintegrate. It isn't spongy. Resin is not plastic. And again, people go, oh, squishing about my helmet and it broke. Well, it will do. So flexi means it has a bit of movement. You can't, that isn't going to be like a gummy bear and be all squishy. You can't flatten it and not pop back. It will break. It's resin. So there we are. There is a user guide to how resin works. Right, so let's put Tarkin back, overviewing everything along with a load of random droids. So, heavy Mando figure. See, this is quite tight, very tight. So what I'm doing, I'm twisting very, very, very gently, and also applying pressure away. And then what happens? It comes out, and as you can see, when resin comes in contact with resin, it powders. It's like icing sugar. So what happens is when you put that in and you turn it again, powder. Eventually that will become so loose that it won't stay in. So excessive movement on joints will cause them to become loose. At the moment, I've taken all my figure apart. You get on prints sometimes little burrs where the supports have been. You can see there's like little nodules on there. Supports help it print. Some people are really good at putting supports on, some people are really bad and they tend to stick them everywhere and you end up looking like something. So what support can be, you get these tiny little nubbins. Now they do snap off quite easily, but what you've got to remember is that when there is a large support there, you will end up with a slight, you can't really see it on the camera, little indent. They're unavoidable. You do get print lines, you do get little dots on resin prints. They're almost like the equivalent of like air bubbles in casting, and you can take steps to get rid of air bubbles in casted figures. You can't really take steps to get rid of little nubbins and print lines. Print lines are normal in resin. You will get them appearing now and again. They shouldn't be massive. Sometimes they can be. That just means there's a problem with the way the resins have mixed. But yeah, print lines can be common, especially once painted. You can sort of see the effect as if they've been It's almost like a wood grain. It's quite weird. Anyway. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more in the future or suggest some potential future makes, please subscribe.
What a piece of junk!